Hey guys, welcome to Trinity Force Podcast. Sorry if you were watching live because I screwed up and my microphone wasn't attached. Then I tried to go live and it wasn't there. And hey, we're back. So Punch is gonna hit the gong instead of the intro.
Sure.
Ting. Guys, you're listening to episode number 261 of the Trinity Force Podcast. My name is Anaponophobia Cogswell, and I am joined by Punchinello.
Hey.
DeClawd.
Howdy.
Days Untold.
Hey.
And last and always least, Chira Jaded.
Yeah, I'm right here.
So we have a lot to talk about, and I apologize now because it's gonna be about Patreon. It's gonna be about this weekend. Like, we're gonna spend a little bit of time wrapping up. Consider this like a state of the podcast type of episode, and then we're gonna move into Mailbag. So
the gong is ushering in the next era of the Trinity Force Network.
Correct. So I apologize if this podcast this week is not your normal everyday beginning of the week podcast. This is again a state of the Trinity Force Network podcast. And then we're gonna move right into listener questions. First and foremost, the Memorial Day, we will not be doing a podcast. You only have one podcast a week of Memorial Week. So take that time, enjoy your day off. I'm assuming everybody just about has that off. And yeah, we will do one episode that week. Secondly, this last weekend we participated in Operation Supply Drop. The 8-Bit Salute, or Operation Supply Drop's 8-Bit Salute. Chira Jaden, he was the man behind the scenes working with Team 2G as we did a staff versus staff, bronze, silver, gold, and platinum versus platinum games. They went all day.
And it was a great showing from everybody involved.
It was amazing. I think we had like 100 people viewing the stream. We had, and we ended up raising, $651 for the troops that week.
Excellent work.
We did our portion. And in fact, in one game, there was
awesome.
a donation of $500 to beat us, which was great.
That's right.
Thank you for everybody involved for putting the fear of God into another organization
and getting more money for Op Supply Drop.
Yeah, that's all it was.
Great.
That's what we kept telling people is that, is as much fun or not fun you're having. Like, everybody participated said they had fun. No matter even if the game was kind of silly, they said they had fun. We had Pineapple Express. Now we have hashtag Pineapple Express running around.
Raging Pineapple, the 15-year-old girl who carried
the shit out of the bronze people.
And Megla Life, because that dude landed every single hook.
Oh, man,
it was great.
He was a monster.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, the 2G Bronzies now fear Soraka mid as of that game.
I fear Soraka mid. Damn.
You got a quadra kill. If you guys want highlights for that, we are working on putting a highlight video together. That should be out within the next week or so. I have LaShock, one of the Battle Arena casters. He decided he wanted to put that together, so he's like combing through all the footage. I think what Corrigan said was, if my reaction didn't get you hype enough, then you did not enjoy the event. Because his reaction to that quadra kill, it was just like out of this world.
That was a beat, like the Bronzies counter engaged so perfectly in that fight that it looked good. I would say it would be worth everybody's time to go check out just that play.
And you know what? Everyone who played, regardless of how well you did, it was awesome. Thank you very much for sticking with it, because there was some weird stuff that donators were making you do, and you did it. You didn't complain.
Oh my God.
You took your lumps, when you had to sell your Zonias or whatever you had to do. So excellent job.
You guys missed the best donation that came in later that night because we were streaming after the fact. I think we ended the official 2G versus us stream at like $631. Then two $10 donations came in after the fact. One of them, I think it was Irish Nightmare, actually donated it, was to make us dance after every kill for 3 seconds. So I'm on stream going, stop, 3, 2, 1, and it just kept going. It'd be like 3, 2, 5, 4, because kills would just keep coming in.
Yeah, that was amusing.
It was so annoying. Yeah, that dance party donation was the best.
Especially since they had a Karthus. So if anybody ever killed a Karthus,
yeah,
oh man,
it was screwed.
Well, we had a Leota that kept getting caught under turret every time he had to stop because he would dive so hard. But yeah, Scout guy, that was great, and we loved it so much. We had so much fun. We raised a lot more money than I thought we would. Not that I think our network's small or is not capable of raising money for anybody or any charities. It's just that it was a bigger turnout than I expected, and that's what I like to see. I like to see more than what I.
And it was kind of a short-term notice sort of thing as well. So kudos to everybody who came out, donated, and participated, because the event was really fun, and I know during the event we had people asking when we were going to do the next one. So it was super enjoyable to be a part of, and I'm glad everybody had a good time.
The next big event that we're going to be part of will be Extra Life in November. I'm going to let you guys know already. We are preparing for Extra Life. We're going to set something up. We might work with Team 2G again. We might work with another organization. We still have a number of months to figure that out. We're still 6 months out.
What is Extra Life, Adam?
I'm going to walk away from that one.
Put him on the spot.
I can't tell you because I don't actually know exactly what Extra Life does. I've been told by 3 people, like, you got to do Extra Life. I'm like, all right, I know of Extra Life, but I don't know what charity it's for.
Okay.
Tell me, DeClawd.
I don't know. That's what I was asking.
I was hoping you knew. You put me on the spot for that. God damn it. Now I sound like a fucking
I love how one of you threw the other person under the bus, and then the other person just dragged
great
you under the bus with him.
If you explained it, it would have looked like I already knew, and I was just setting you up for the explanation. But you screwed it up for both of us.
Doesn't
now
Extra
we both
Life
look
provide video game counsels and stuff
for kids.
Children?
Yes, sick kids.
Okay. All right, there you go. Excellent.
I do have to do something with kids. I just didn't want to sound like an asshole, and then now I did.
That's okay.
Well, it's fitting because,
knew.
you are an asshole.
Moving on to the next piece of State of the Network. You guys have answered the call for Python developers. We now have a number of Python developers working on our backend, so that means we are full steam ahead with the community site. I know a couple months ago I said our soft launch would be April. Again, unfortunately, we ran into some issues, but we are now full steam ahead again. We've started working on some ways to make that happen, and hopefully the at least skin of the community site will be out in 30 to 40 days, and then after that, we'll be able to push forward. So we're a little behind schedule, but what we are on schedule with is Patreon.
Hooray!
Launched today.
Our biggest announcement, and actually what I want to do, I'm going to talk about all this stuff, and then I want Days. I'm going to split her in the spotlight because she's going to tell us about the big reward that goes with this. So if you guys have not checked it out, go to trinityforcenetwork.com/Patreon. We have a bunch of tier rewards and an awesome video that was put together by Brandon. I'm not going to give his last name out for obvious reasons, but he did this sweet video. We all recorded segments of it. I mean, Punch has got his robe on, his glasses, Chira's fucking pet cat. So we got Days. You know what? Honestly, Days, I expected like kids to be running around in their underwear and stuff behind you.
Oh my gosh, I should have.
That would have been so good.
You know what? I'll redo it, and we can have him re-edit me in.
Yeah.
And we'll just have all kinds of stuff going on. The cat. We'll have them chasing the cat in their underwear.
Oh, that'd be perfect.
Why did you have the cat? Like putting his head against yours?
No, it should have just cut to the cat with no audio, just staring at the camera.
Oh my god.
And then going back over to finish out.
That could be the intro to the new podcast. Just the cat.
Days
Just
cat.
the cat staring at my cat's eyes. So Patreon, if you guys want to know what's going on here, we've already, without telling you guys, we've made $97 per month, and that's going a long way with this because we have milestone goals.
That's the
our
time
first
of
one.
recording. So
Yeah, we
That's
already
the
hit
time
our
of our
first
bedtime
milestone goal, and we haven't really told anybody about this.
Right.
So, grats. Thank you, everybody. That was
You
awesome.
guys are the best.
First milestone goal, $50 a month. That pays for the web server. We found that we have a cheaper web server going. It might be a little bit here and there, but $50 a month pretty much brings that web server up and keeps it going. What we're going to do with that is we're going to make sure that web server is always up. No matter how much we get hit, no matter how hard we get hit, with that milestone goal, we're going to make sure that web server is always online so you could always get your information. So we're going to try to promise 99.9% uptime. I know it's a stretch, but I think we can do it with that payment. Next one, we're going to pick up a content delivery network, a CDN, an actual CDN at $500 a month. That will allow us to, from United States to Australia to Russia to China, you guys will have all the same download speeds no matter where you are in the world downloading that podcast, because it'll find the server that you're at. And that just means that you get the podcast more quickly. And that it's always up too. Like if our server's down, you can still pick the podcast up because it's sitting on somebody else's server in Australia or Russia. And then finally, our last milestone goal is at $2,000 a month. We will be able to keep the server up, start helping out with people on the network, paying a little bit of people, staff here and there, and also send everybody to major events. Like I can pick people out. I can be like, Chira, you're going out to California this weekend. You're taking care of the LCS. Anybody. I can take out the LCS guys. I can look at the Oz. I can take the Oz guys and say, guys, you were going to PAX this weekend. You guys are going to the LCS events. Whoever it is, at $2,000 a month, I will be able to afford enough to send people out to all these events, grab interviews, and really bring it all back to you guys.
How cool would that be?
That'd be amazing.
It'd be really cool. We could have like a giant tforce network get together.
And we could do that. You know what? At $2,000 a month, I might actually try to we would. If I
tforce Expo.
If I could get $2,000, if I could get $5,000 a month, I would make sure we get all of us, literally everybody in the network. There's like 30 or 35 of them, but at that point, I could save a couple months worth. I could bring everybody to Summoners Con.
Send everybody to Summoners Con, and just we all crowd our own area so nobody else can get in.
And Ken.
My dream this year is to get a panel at Summoners Con, a live podcast panel about how to dissect patch notes with most of the members of the podcast. That's like my dream, because I think people will love that type of thing.
That'd be awesome.
But what I'm going to do is now, since we're talking about Patreon and we're talking about the state of the network, I'm going to let Days take it over from here and talk about each of the tier rewards, and especially her tier reward, which is the $10 one.
Well, luckily I have it up because you just sprung that on me. But I was prepared unwittingly. So if you donate $1 a month, you'll get a thank you email from us and a spot on our donation Hall of Fame wall. And really just a thank you for being part of the Trinity Force family. Even if you don't have a lot to donate, the fact that you're donating $1 a month, it means a lot, and it all adds up. And we really, really appreciate you taking the effort and making that gesture to us. And I mean, we've gotten this far with, you know, all those little donations that have helped us get mics and things like that. So a lot of the quality of the cast is because of you guys, and we really, really appreciate it. For $5 a month, if you donate that, you'll get the same thing, a thank you email and a spot on our donation wall of fame. And you'll also have VIP access to our new website for an equal number of months that you donate. So if you donate 3 months, then you'll have 3 months of access to our new website. And that's going to be coming really, really soon. And there's going to be some really cool content on there and things for you guys. So that's pretty exciting. I'm sure we'll have little teasers of that coming out soon here and there. We've seen some.
Yeah, I will interject here real quick. Like, the VIP is kind of like, if I remember correctly, it's like no ads. There'll be no ads on the website if you're paying the $5 a month. There'll be
okay.
Things like that. There'll be no ads. You'll have access to special features in the back end, like we're having it so you can follow certain people. Like there's things like we've teased. You guys have seen some of the pieces that we've already built, and but I think the primary thing is if you're paying $5 a month, you get no ads, so you don't have to run ad blocker, and the site looks pretty. But
and yeah, we've seen teasers of the site, and everyone's done a great job with it. Like, it looks really good. So that's something something to be pretty excited about. For $10 a month, you get all of the $5 reward, and you get a special access to our new subscriber-only podcast, which I'm personally extremely excited about. It is, for anyone who hasn't, I know we've talked about it a little bit here and there, but it's called the Champion Select Podcast. At least temporarily. I'm not sure. Is that the final name that
I don't even know if we have a final name for it.
Temporarily known as the Champion Select Podcast. And all it is like, we're going to go, for anyone who's listened to us for any length of time, we had these little mini episodes with like Scion, or we did Sona, where we had like half an hour little rundowns of the champion, and we tried to go over as much as we can, but champions are champions. There's a lot to go over with them. So a half an hour, you pretty much got like 15 minutes of us going over the champion, and then 15 minutes of us trying to explain to you how to play a champion. So we're trying to solve that problem with this, and you'll still get us randomly talking about champions somewhat in depth on Proper, but again, it won't be anything like you get with this podcast, and we're not taking anything away from Proper. This is just something completely different, and this is hitting a completely different section of League that we couldn't hit before just from time constraints. So, for example, we did Aurelia for the first episode, and we went on for an hour and a half on Aurelia, and she's
like an hour and 48 minutes or something.
Yeah,
like that.
Wow.
And it was our first one, so there was some, like, we'll get more efficient with it. But at the same time, there's just that much detail to talk about champions on, and she only has one real role. So if we could go on that long about, Aurelia, then, I mean, these are really in-depth episodes. We're going to go over Morgana's next, and we're going to go over all of her possible roles and playstyles and things like that. So it's really exciting, and it's going to feature Serial Box from the LCS Rundown and myself every single time. And then we're going to have a guest on it that will be a main of whatever champion. And we'll have between 1 and 2 guests every single time, and it will be different people each time. So you get to hear different voices on the subject. I think Serial Box is talking about he knows like a challenger new main that wants to come on and talk to us and things like that. So there's some pretty exciting stuff going on with it that we're pretty excited about.
Yeah,
I don't know, someone else.
That's a great way to put it. And we're working on. I'm going to try to get with some of the enemy guys because I know there's a couple support players in there and stuff. That we're really good friends with them. We're trying to get them on. And then Mitch, he went to MSI and rubbed elbows with everybody. He's got the Misfits. He's got the coach of Misfits on speed dial because they went out drank and smoked hookah and everything together. Like these guys are like buddy buddies.
Yeah, he had a good time there.
Like Day said, we're going to try to get people on. Even some people in the network. I'm sure DeClawd will come on when we talk about Pantheon. Punch will be on for some of the AD carries. We'll have Cheer on for the Udyr episode, like that type of thing. But we haven't.
Hell, I can be on for Morgana. I jungled the shit out of that bitch.
Oh gosh.
We haven't decided. The way we're going to work with this Champion Select podcast is it should be more than just that champion as well, because there should be more here. It's going to teach you, if you know how to dissect a champion, you know how to play against that champion. So some of you out there are like, well, I don't really care about Morgana. Well, you see her enough. Why would you not want to know how to play against her? So listen to the podcast to dissect that information on how to play against her. That's why we think this is so invaluable to everybody out there. And I'm going to let Chira talk about this because he talked my ear off about it, because the primary thing that we want to drive into people's head is that $10 a month, you are supporting the show and we're giving you something back for it. But there's
all
more
right.
to it.
So the Champion Select podcast is just sort of a cherry on top of all the content that we currently provide. So like, because I know, $10 might seem like $10 a month might seem like a lot to certain people, but I mean, we already provide 200 plus free hours of content yearly. And then, for $10 a month extra, you get a bonus 36 plus hours. Even more if it's going 2 hours long per episode for the extra stuff. So, like, if you look at it just from a cost-benefit analysis sort of thing, if, you can go to a movie and see an hour and a half long movie or a 2 hour long movie and you're spending a minimum of $8 just for the movie and you're not buying popcorn or anything like that, you're getting 2 hours plus. Like, you're getting basically 4 hours of bonus content for $10 on top of the already, like, almost 6 hours of content you're getting weekly from all the shows on the network. So for those of you who really, really want to help the network keep growing, this is just sort of like an extra little thank you for the individuals who want to help push us forward.
And I just want to say back to what Adam was saying about knowing like the champions you're playing against and you're playing with. Like, the number one thing that anyone tells you ever, if you're trying to learn or you're trying to climb or whatever, everyone always says play every single champion, know how to play against them. And I don't know, I started out in bronze and that was intimidating as hell, because I was like, I barely know how to play my champion. Where am I going to have time to play 200 other champions and know them well? So, and to know like the in-depth like level of discussion that we went into, for example, with Aurelia, you'd have to read up a lot on Aurelia. You'd have to play Aurelia a lot. So this kind of is like a cheat sheet for you not necessarily having to play her or not having to play her as much, or just in general having an idea of what to do against her. Because we do go over that too, like what pitfalls, Aurelia players make, what to look out for so you can capitalize on their mistakes, how to play against her. Like, those are all things that we go over too. So I don't want that to be overlooked, because I know a couple of people were asking, like, are we going to announce the champions beforehand? Which we probably will, so that you know what you're getting. But just keep in mind that most of the champions we're going to go over are going to be popular champions. We're not immediately going to go into, like, people that nobody ever sees. Like, unfortunately, Optimus Tom, we're not going to be doing Poppy next or anything like that.
That's too bad.
Yeah, these are champions that you're going to see often, so it's very beneficial for you to understand what you're up against. And I think we all, even the three of us that did the Aurelia episode, I'm pretty sure every one of us took away something from that episode, even though we've all have a lot of experience, we all did a lot of research and things like that. So there's tips and tricks that you'll learn from it that are just it would take you a long time and a lot of experience to figure out on your own.
I actually learned a lot from that Aurelia episode going through it. I learned a lot of how to play Aurelia and some crazy things you can do, like using your ult to jump to minions to get to people more quickly, and how overpowered E is and whatnot. Like, there's a lot of good information there. And again, that Champion Select podcast that we're spending a lot of time that's like our flagship. We figured that's like the medium goal, the entry level goal, and we are very happy if you only do $1 or $5 a month. Please, if that's all you can donate, do that. But the Aurelia episode is out there for you guys to listen to right now. We want to give you a teaser. We want to give you guys an idea of what's coming forward. And as you know, with all of our podcasts, they always evolve and they always get better over time. I don't think any of our podcasts we've never had a failed podcast. Like they've always gotten better. So let's move on and talk about the $25, $50, $75, and $100 reward, and then we can spend the last half an hour talking about listener questions. Days, do you want to take that over?
Yeah. So for $25 a month, you receive everything from the 5, 10 rewards, which includes the new podcast. And you'll also receive a free replay review from anybody in the network that you want to review. And we've all agreed to this. It's all something we're really looking forward to. So don't feel like you're bothering us or anything by asking. Please don't. But you can record it however you want, and then you send it in, and we're going to give you priority treatment in terms of actually reviewing it for you. And that every month that you subscribe, it refreshes. So you get a free replay every month when you do it. The other thing, which is also a great deal, a lot of coaching out there costs like $15, $20, to get one session. Yeah. And then on top of that, you also get the podcasts and the other stuff. So that's still a really good deal, especially if you're looking to support the community. For $50 or more, you get all the previous rewards, plus you get some special one-on-one coaching each month. You send us a replay and we'll review it and give you feedback on how you can play better, and we'll set up a time and date each month to meet with you on your progress, talk about meta champs, and give you feedback on your play. So it's more than just a replay review. It's some real coaching. It's like a lot of feedback on questions that you have, checking up on you, keeping track of you, that sort of thing. And again, you can choose whoever you want to do that with. And you can even change that if you decide somewhere along the way that you want to see how different people coach and things like that. For $75 or more per month, everything above this tier, you'll get specialized Trinity Force t-shirt with your name on it, which is awesome. You can choose the design and if you want it signed or not, and what you want it to say on the back, and we'll get it out to you. You'll also be able to sit in on your favorite podcast and TeamSpeak once a month, and you can listen as we talk about LCS, the OPL, or patch notes or anything like that. And you'll get access to the podcast before other subscribers as well. So for $100 more per month, and this is kind of where we've ended up. If anyone gets excited and wants more things, I'm sure we'll add on. But for $100,
if we have a ton of people doing $100, and we can't I don't know what the hell I could do after $100, but
we'll figure something out. But if anyone wants to donate more than that, and you want to message Adam, we'll come up with something special for you. If you have suggestions, let us know. We'll take them into account and things like that. So for $100 a month, you get everything that you got before, plus you have a one-time opportunity to come on your favorite podcast or Trinity Force Network project. So if you want to discuss the meta with us, or if you want to talk about the LCS with the Rundown guys, or if you love the Aussie accents, you can go head over to the Oz LOL podcast.
And don't forget the Four Words guys.
And the Four Words guys, you didn't even include them on here.
I know, it's because I wrote this a while ago.
Dude, it's going to be all over you.
You wrote this before we even brought the Four Words on. Uh-huh. Oh man, I bet he's shooting laser beams.
He was in one of the emails today. Yeah.
But yeah, and the Four Words guys are great, and they're gaining a lot of traction. So that would be a great one to go on also, and talk about any basics or have them answer questions for you and things like that. So just let us know what you want to be on, what show you want to be on, and what you want to talk about, and you'll be an honorary guest for us. And if you give us $100, you have access to a bottle or two of Adam's fabled homebrew.
That's right.
No, wow. Fabled according to who, I wonder?
Yeah.
To me!
Fabled could be good or bad. It could just be that bad we've all...
There is
a
guy...
a whole bunch of people to do this so that Adam is just full-time brewing beer.
Sending beer out to people. There was a guy in chat that asked how much would it cost for you to name a beer after him.
Ooh.
And it better be good, or else he's gonna be pissed.
$25. If you do the $25 donation and you send a message after you do the $25 donation for at least 1 month, and you can drop it down to 10 after that. You let me know who you are and what you said. I'll name my next beer after you. I'll post.
You know what you should do?
I'll send a message out to everybody.
If you keep doing your little Sunday brew thing, you should just have somebody who donates. They can pick their favorite beer, and you'll try to do a similar thing, homebrew it, name it after him. Yeah.
Yeah. If we make it to the $500 per month goal by the end of this month, by the end of May, I will do that. I will stream 2 times in the month of June. Actually, no, it won't be June. It might be hard. I can do it. Maybe June's a little iffy for me, but I will try to stream 2 times in the month of June. If not, it will be in July. I will make sure that those people get it taken care of. So there you go. Another stretch goal.
And who can say no to beer?
I can seriously send you. I'll send you some of the Zombie Dust clone. You guys will get it and go, holy shit. This is the best beer I've ever tasted.
Is it an IPA?
Yeah, it's a pale ale. It's an American pale ale.
American strong ale, baby.
American.
It's not strong. It's a pale ale.
Well, I can't say no to America.
Yeah. So Adam's straight up saying you're not American if you don't like it. That's
right.
what I heard.
No pressure. No pressure at all, guys. But yeah, so that's the rundown of everything on the Patreon. So
I did
thank
see
you.
someone-
There's already 9 people who've donated or who have subscribed, and
Who
we're
are
already
patrons.
up to
That's awesome.
yes. So at
I love those
$97 per month. So that's incredible considering we haven't even announced it on a cast yet. But thank you so much, guys, because it really means a lot to us that we are able to deliver all this content to you.
We're going to be able to deliver content. We're going to be able to take care of people in the network now with this because we, as you know, we're not localized in Ohio or anything, so sometimes we have computer issues and whatnot. So kind of with this, we'll be able to take care of people's computers. We'll be able to pay people for the time. We'll be able to get microphones. We'll be able to keep the server up and going. I mean, there's just so much we can do with the money that's coming in that just gives you guys a better quality podcast and gives you guys more for the bang for your buck. I mean, my goal is to eventually open a radio station, and then all you hear is my voice 24 hours a day saying, Zombo, come! No.
I'm not sure anyone else is hoping for that to come true.
So we all work jobs too, obviously, because we have to make ends meet. They're at it. So this is just kind of like a free little fun hobby for us right now, but this gives us a chance to actually, I guess, put a little bit more time and effort into it.
That's right. Yeah, it gives
It
everybody
really does.
a shining, it's like that. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I think you guys have hit everything on top of the head. I could sit here and talk to you guys and try to sell this up as much as possibly can, but there you go. That's it. That's 30 minutes. Like I said, state of the network. That's where we're at. This is where we're moving forward. And,
Exciting times.
Good timing.
Everybody say hello to Esports Dog as she barks in the background. We are now going to move into listener questions. Hi, Esports Dog.
I don't see her.
Nasus, stop complaining. Mute
Nasus, shut up.
You're saying come top. Okay.
All right, let's talk about ganking then, because we had a couple ADC questions come in, and it feels like bottom lane is probably the place to party and get ganked in. I tried. All right, listen, I tried to say.
Yeah, okay.
Good enough. Good enough.
You know,
you a-
there
a
are those
close.
games that I feel like there's a party in bot lane. I think any support or ADC main feels like that, because if you have 2 people gank, it's not like 3 people in your lane. It's like 4 or 5 people in your lane, and you're looking around going, what the hell is going on?
I know, just one telegank from top and the normal jungle gank, and boom, pretty much the whole team's there.
Anyways, sorry.
You're fine.
I had my moment. I'm good now.
So we have 2 questions about AD carry come in. I'm going to read both of the questions, and then Punch is basically going to...
Then this gets to be the Punch and Elo show.
Yeah. Punch is going to tell one of them that's too bad. We're going to rate you later. The
Let's
other
hear
one.
it, Punch.
I'll answer it.
I'm going to put out forward part of the community site that's coming out is going to be a wiki, and where we have answers to specific questions that come in a lot. There's going to be a wiki about that. I'm working on that with the guys, and because anyway, Rick writes that I really enjoy playing AD carry. Graves I currently favorite. The problem I have is I just die too much. Womp womp. In lane, I either go even or get ahead, but in some mid to late game, I have trouble staying alive or out of trouble. What are some things I can personally do to stay alive and contribute to my team? I appreciate any insight and keep up the good work.
We've heard this question a lot, and for good reason, because this is kind of the essence of AD carry, which is positioning, and that's basically what you're asking, Rick, is how do I position? Because that's basically the crux of staying
for
safe.
$25 a month, I can tell you.
Yeah. No.
You sound like you're doing a movie trailer.
Well, maybe I am. Maybe I could. Anyways, no, there's a lot of things that go into this. There's a lot of things that go into positioning. There's a lot of things that go into defensive items. We've covered them all again, or we've covered them all before. So let's go over them again. First of all, positioning. First thing you want to do is you want to identify who on the enemy team is a threat, who wants to kill you, and who can kill you. Are there assassins? Are there mages? You know, is there a tanky jungler that has a gap closer? You've got to identify those people that can get to you and at what range they can get to you. And that's the range you kind of want to stay out of. Because if you get too close to the enemy team and they all jump on you, guess what? You're dead. You have failed to position properly. And that's basically the crux of positioning. So you want to mind their area of engagement and their cooldowns. Like keep track of what cooldowns they have that they can use to engage on you, right? Like a Moon's bandage toss. If he misses a bandage toss, well then you're probably safe. Unless he has flash. Does he have flash too? That's something else you got to keep in mind. Keep in mind of summoner spells. Also, keep in mind of your cooldowns and summoner spells. You can play a little bit more aggressively when you've got your summoner spells up. You can use flash to escape, obviously. If you're playing Graves, quick draw is your best friend as Graves, because quick draw is your basically bread and butter maneuverability. Too many abilities there, but you get what I'm saying.
Ability.
Right? I mean, if you use that improperly, and then somebody engages on you afterwards, you have to blow flash. And if you don't have flash available, you're in trouble. So you really need to maximize your abilities when peeling for yourself, when avoiding enemy engagements, all that good stuff.
I will say, just to add to this, is that a piece of playing AD carry, and while I'm not as great of an AD carry as Punch is, it's that you need to understand your own range as well, because you need to be, we've said this 100 times, you need to be continually standing on the outside, or you need to continually straddling the line between too far and too close. And too close is one step over what your furthest attack, or your...
Too close is imminent death.
Yeah. 80 carries straddle that line between I am almost going to die and I am too safe and not doing anything. Like, playing 80 carry is all about positioning, as Punch talks into here. And we've said it 100 times already, is that I think what everybody needs to go do is go into custom or bot games and play a whole bunch of Graves and press A, or turn on, what is it?
Show attack range.
Show attack range.
Options, something like that.
Press A and understand how long your attack range is, and try to get a feel for how long your attack range is at all times, because there should be a point where you shouldn't have to look at your attack range. You should exactly know how far you have to attack. And what will help you is if you bring somebody in there and you have them stand at different points at a wall, because like Baron Pit, for example, Caitlyn, well, I guess not anymore. Old Baron Pit, she could attack it. She can't attack it anymore, right?
I still think she can.
If
she can, I think.
Yeah, she can.
She has to stand in like a really weird like place.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. But my whole point is, there's like those crazy pits, like you get those dragon fights, you get those baron fights. You need to bring a friend in that game, have that friend stand at different ranges inside that pit. Bring somebody that's long range and kind of get an idea where you can attack at. Now bring somebody short range. You know what I'm saying? Do the same thing, because that's how you get, and that's a lot more than just AD carry in this game. Lisa in Q, for example, you want to know how long that range is so you can know the maximum distance that you can Q from and hit that target. And you want to understand his W range, so you know the maximum distance you can be away to jump to a ward. You need to understand ranges in this game to be good at the game.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the spells too, because that really affects an AD carry's area of influence. If you look at Vayne, and Vayne is a good example, where a lot of people think that she's got low range, when in actuality she has 550 range, but none of her spells extend beyond her auto attack range. Mm-hmm. Now Ezreal's got the same attack range, 550. But people think of him as having much longer range because of Q and because of Alt, because of W, and because of E can reposition himself. So the spells you have, if they extend beyond your auto attack range, can also help you influence the team fight. Even someone like Jinx, who's not really using her spells for damage, but you can use her spells for CC to create an opening for her. I mean, that also helps the range in which she can engage, kind of the range that she can contribute to a team fight. Like, I know there was a game where I had to play Jinx, and I was basically playing 2 screen lengths away because there was an assassin Malphite and a Kassadin and some other bullshit assassin was trying to kill me. And they would literally just walk past you guys and head straight to me if I got anywhere near them. So I had to use all my spells at max range until 1 or 2 of them died or someone got caught up so I could actually engage. And this kind of leads us into the disclaimer we always throw in at the end of this question, which is, yes, you want to stay safe. You want to stay safe as much as possible, but you also want to be contributing to the team fight at all times. Because if you're just dancing around in the back, not attacking anybody, you're not helping anyone. You're not doing your job.
Skirting damage. You know what took me a while? And again, I'm going to disclaimer this by, I'm not a great AD carry. I'm a mediocre AD carry, maybe mediocre average AD carry at best. But that's understanding that I can stand in the middle of a skirmish and I'm not going to get hit. It's like, you see... like 300, for example. Remember that movie where all the scenes where there's tons of people running around this one guy and he's fighting 2 or 3 of them? That's the same thing as with you. You're standing in the middle of it, but you're not being hit, but you're doing tons of damage. Like, you just need to understand. It goes back to watching cooldowns, paying attention to what the enemy has, paying attention to what you have, understanding your attack range, and understanding
going for targets of opportunity.
Going for targets of opportunity.
I was going to bring up targets of opportunity because if they overdive you, punish their mistake. You know, if they got one guy like, I'm on the ADC, haha, but no one else can react, rip them down.
You want to identify the largest damage threat that is within your attack range. I mean, obviously, the golden goose of every team fight is the enemy AD carry. You want to kill them. But if you have to walk through their front line to get to them, that's not going to work.
Not worth it. And if the frontliner does go over aggressive and you target him and he gets low but escapes, don't chase him to the ends of the earth to finish him off. Let him get out. He's now useless. He can't mess with you while you go for the golden goose.
A couple of things that I don't think we went over that are more suited to like Graves himself is there's 2 things. One, you want to make sure you have your passive stacked before you go into fights, if at all possible. Like if you see a fight incoming, then attack some creeps or something like that to get your passive up, because that's really, really important. And 2 is you have to understand that your role as Graves is very different than your role as like Caitlyn, where Caitlyn, like, you have to stay alive like as long as possible because you don't have any burst at all. Graves, if you're going to die, you have to get your QR off before you die.
You can front load a bunch of damage before you go down.
Yep.
Right. So you have to understand that champions have even in the ADC role, you have slightly different roles because as Graves, you're probably going to die more than you do as Caitlyn. That's just part of the champions and how they're made. But you have to understand how you can get the most damage off and things like that. So just knowing your champion really well is, you know, a good step in the right direction.
And front loading your damage like that is actually a good way to stay safe because you delete somebody.
Oh yeah, and or people back off. They get scared and back off, or you know, any number of things.
You make their engager too squishy to engage.
Right. There are certain AD carries that can do that. There's others like Ezreal, Varus, Corki who just kind of sit back, poke at something until it's low enough to be able to just either all in or completely finish a fight when somebody's low enough. It's going to completely depend on the sort of AD carry you're playing, and then you have sustained AD carries exactly like Caitlyn, who just sits back, just trying to do as much sustained damage as possible, and then like when the fight starts breaking out or people start running away, trying to maybe pick somebody off with their ultimate or something else.
Edge brings up a really good point in chat, the usefulness of Graves W. Did you want to touch on something else, Chair, before I change the topic?
No. Keep going.
W is a good one, yes.
W is a really good spell. I think it's very undervalued for Graves. That is a great defensive ability in team fights. If someone's looking to engage on you, you can use W to slow them down. When they lose sight, they can't engage on you. If they have a targeted ability, like a targeted dash, that's usually the hardest thing to outplay because you can't really dodge it. But if they can't see you and they can't cast it, then you're safe. I mean, it's a beautiful disengage tool. If somebody engages on, you can throw a W at your feet and then walk out of it, and that's a source of confusion for them. It's got a lot of uses, and I think you kind of have to play around with it a lot in order to kind of figure out what all of them are, how to use it best. But don't undervalue it. Don't just throw it away.
Creates a nice zoning area too.
That's right.
And the Graves who get good with their W's they're the worst Graves players ever. Like to play against. Like it's great if they're on your team, but trying to lock it down a carry when you can't see them or see anybody is the most irritating. Or trying to siege a tower. They drop it right in front of their tower, and then you're like, well, what now?
Yeah, especially as a Pantheon player, because I can't hit my W. I can't stun you.
Because he jumps right in the middle of it.
Or my Q.
The next
all I can
thing
do
you
is
know,
just blindly Heartseeker strike and hope I kill you.
You try to ult in his Pantheon, he W's onto you, and you come out of that W, and the rest of his team shows up, and it's just like you jumped into the wrong place.
I clear my eyes. Oh crap!
I fucked
Where'd
up.
he
Not good.
I mean, another useful for W, and this is a specific example in bot lane against Tristana. So Graves against Tristana is actually really good because Tristana wants to get as many stacks off on her sticky bomb when she throws it on you, but when Graves uses his W, she can't get any stacks off. So she throws the sticky bomb, Graves throws the smoke screen, she can't stack the sticky bomb at all. The entire time Graves is using buckshot and auto attacks to push her away. So she loses that trade, and pretty much any trade that Graves says W up. So it's things like that you can use W for.
You don't think about that. Like I didn't. You don't think about that little sticky bomb thing, unless you're playing it.
It's really good. Another thing I learned when learning Graves, something I didn't really do when I first started playing him, was I was too frugal with my ultimate. That's not the case anymore. I just blow ultimate first chance I get. Because the sooner you blow that ultimate, front-loaded damage in general is just really good, because the sooner you kill them, the better, right? You want to kill them before they kill you. The sooner you throw your ultimate down, especially after a CC, the less time they have to react. And it's just really important to get that ultimate off. And even if, I don't even care if the kills steal anymore, or if they're at 10% life, I don't give a shit. I just throw that ultimate out, because I want them to die. And it works. It's actually helped me a lot while playing Graves.
Don't use it as an execute. Use it to get the advantage early, and then boom, all of a sudden you had the advantage right away, and they're the ones on the back foot. Yeah, instead of the other way around until you hope you get them low enough to finish them with ult. No, it's not going to work like that. I did the same thing. Punch.
I like Graves. The last thing we could kind of touch on as far as playing safe is picking the right defensive item. So I'm just going to kind of quickly go through these, since again we've talked about these before. Guardian Angel is really good when you're getting burst down early in team fights. I say early because if you get killed at the end of the team fight when the rest of your team is already gone, it doesn't matter, because you're going to respawn, they're going to kill you again. But if they're blowing a lot of cooldowns to kill you early on, then you can respawn and contribute back to the team fight. And they just use all their cooldowns, so they're going to have a hard time killing you again. Quicksilver Sash is good against heavy CC like Amumu and Sejuani. It's also pretty much necessary against Zed, especially if Zed is targeting you. Not all Zeds target you for some reason. I don't know why that is. I love the Zeds that don't target me, but when they do, you have to get Quicksilver Sash, otherwise you're dead. And
Banshee's you're dropping his ultimate. You can drop the ultimate. That's why you're using it.
Thank you for clarifying. And Banshee's Veil is kind of tricky. It's good for single spells like Morgana Binding, but it's also really easy for enemies to pop it. So you kind of have to be careful about which comps you pick it into. But it is good against some AP Assassins, because AP Assassins usually rely on a single spell rotation to kill you. And if you can keep that Banshee's Veil up long enough to block one of those spells in the rotation, you should survive, and then they won't have anything left to attack you with.
Excuse me. I think that pretty much ends it. I'm going to move on. I was going to move on to Vayne, since we're talking AD carries, but DeClawd, if you have a moment. Or if you have
No, I was just going to say, you pretty much covered everything. Offense, damage, positioning, everything. Hopefully you have enough information to make ADC your primary Rickroll.
I'd like to take this as an opportunity to say that if you have feedback on like Battle Arena, because a lot of times right now we would say take what we just told you, go into Battle Arena, use it. We've received a lot of feedback on that. We're actually working through Battle Arena at this point in time. We're working through coaching and whatnot, so we're trying to revamp it to make it better. So, but still, please come and join Battle Arena. Please take somebody's advice and listen to what some of these guys have to say, because there's a lot of credible players who play in-houses in Battle Arena with us that might give you even better advice than we can give you. Because of what happened, like in the game, yes, the podcast has to do this, but this is why you should have done this reason.
They're seeing specifics, what you're doing when you're doing it.
Correct.
And not only Battle Arena, but we just talked about Patreon, and not to talk about it too much, but having someone one-on-one go over your replays with you and go over specific situations, it's hard. I've gone over and I've reviewed replays of people who have been in Battle Arena, and it's great and you get good information from it, but the camera's only on you a fifth of the time. So if you have someone look at your replay and they see everything that you're going through and why you're making the decisions that you're making, a lot of times they can address that as well, because we might not see what led up to the decision where you died or something like that.
Right. Well, I'll let somebody else. I need somebody else to read this question because it's about Vayne specifically. Since we're talking about AD carries, I need to.
Who wants it? All right.
Which one?
All right, so it's the second one, Nelson. Nelson writes, I had a question on marksmen/woman. I've been trying to improve my skills with the role as it is my weakest, and I usually like to play these safe, more long-range AD carries like Corki and Caitlyn. I've started to play Vayne quite a bit, as I feel she is stronger in the tank meta with her silver bolts. My question to you guys is on the item build. On one hand, Blight of the Ruin King helps her sustain early, but I find myself being out-traded even once I get it finished. If I build IE first, I have more AD but less attack speed. When should I use either build? Should I get both? Do I need both? Well, I'm going to say, first of all, that I definitely prefer Blade of the Ruined King over IE in almost every circumstance. Pone was talking before this podcast how he was seeing more people build IE first, and I think he'll probably talk more on that when he gets back. But as far as Blade of the Ruined King itself, it just helps Vayne out too much. Now, you say that it hurts your trading potential, and I'm going to counter that with that's kind of Vayne's MO, is she's not very good in lane, and she doesn't win a lot of trades unless you're very good with her. Some Vaynes can dominate the lane, but it takes a lot of practice. Blade of the Ruined King is not going to hurt that per se. Since she is weaker in the lane, that's why the sustain is so good. Additionally, Blade of the Ruined King is just such a fantastic dueling item, and that's what Vayne kind of excels at. Once she gets Blade of the Ruined King, or even with just a cutlass early on, she can 1v1 any AD carry with her ultimate.
She becomes a character that you don't want to meet in a 1v1 setting unless you have like incredible hard engage or you have a pink ward or an upgraded sweeper with you. And you better blow her up before she has the chance to start doing damage, because if you're forced to run away, you're probably not getting away.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. You want to look at how the item works into her playstyle, which is she's got to get like in there and get like really like hands-on dirty in that fight, which means that she needs a lifesteal. She needs a way to slow people. She needs a way to be able to back off and reposition, or she's really good at chasing people down, so that slow helps her with that. So all around like that, it's just I feel like there's no reason not to build Blade of the Ruined King on her, really, because it just suits her play style and her what she needs in her kit extremely well.
I'm going to bring the counterpoint into this conversation and say that I've seen a lot of Vayne building Edge instead.
Can I say one more thing on Blade of the Ruined King first?
Sure.
And then we'll move into that, because I did mention that you're going to bring that up.
Yeah, Punch straight up said you're going to argue with him about that.
I don't think Blade of the Ruined King. I just want to point out that I don't think Blade of the Ruined King is a bad item, but I have seen a lot of Edge recently. But go ahead.
So the last thing on Blade of the Ruined King is I think a lot of people ignore the fact that her ultimate gives her a free BF sword. A lot of the times, I mean, almost every AD carry wants that BF sword first back. Vayne doesn't really need to get it because she already gets on her ultimate. You want that flat AD, and then you want attack speed to go with it. That's why you get an Infinity Edge first, followed by a Zeal item. Vayne, again, she gets the flat AD on her ultimate, so she can go straight to the attack speed item, which is the Blade of the Ruined King.
It's looking at how you want to build Vayne and what you're going to do and how the lane goes. A lot of it is if you are able to go back at the same time the enemy is, and you're both able to pick up a BF sword, you're actually able to trade a lot more effectively with the enemy when you have that BF sword, especially if you both have it, because your auto attacks are doing nearly the same damage. But you have to also look at the frenzy mastery, which is a critical hits grant plus 5% attack speed for 3 seconds, stacking up to 3 times. So every critical strike adds additional attack speed. And like you guys said previously, more attack speed means more silver bolts, means more stacks, but you're also doing more damage. And you can't discount the fact that when you use your ultimate, if you already have a BF sword, you have 2 BF swords. I mean, come on, 2 is better than 1, right? No, but you're doing that extra, 25, 30 additional AD on top of what the Edge is handing you, and then you're getting the attack speed from Frenzy, and you're doing the critical strikes that are allowing you to blow a target up. Now, I don't think everything you guys said about Vamp Scepter and allowing you to sustain through a fight is all well and good, but there is a point where I feel that Vayne can bully out a lane even without that Blade of the Ruined King or that I always call it Rage Blade. It's not Rage Blade. It's fucking. It is Rage Blade.
Cutlass?
The Cutlass.
Cutlass, yeah. I always call it Rage Blade. It's Cutlass. It's a earlier power spike for the moment that as long as you're in lane and you have it and the other person doesn't have that item, it's a power spike. But if it in my opinion, it depends when you can go back. If you can go back and you can afford that BF sword, I think you should pick up the BF sword, have that giant power spike, and max Q over silver bolts. And do tumble Qs, because you're going to chunk a person of a quarter of their life, because you're adding additional attack damage onto it. You'll pop your ultimate, you'll start doing more damage. You're not worrying about the silver bolts and those 3 auto attacks. You're worried about quick bursty trades. Now, with bottom lane, this does really go back to what support are you playing, how is that support playing, and what is the enemy team building. Because if you've got a Sejuani Malphite in the enemy team and you're running with a Sona in the bottom lane, there's no reason for you to pick that BF sword, because you're going to need that Blade of the Ruin King to be able to do anything into the mid game, to be able to do damage. So that's why I say a lot of the AD carry item is, not a lot of it, but Vayne specifically, Vayne and Twitch itemization is based on what the enemy team is playing and based on what you're playing with, and looking at the overall macro picture of the game and how do you want to play that lane, how do you envision it playing out. Because League of Legends is a lot like chess. Think 2 or 3 steps ahead, think 2 or 3 minutes ahead, and where are you going to be if you built that BF sword and the enemy comes back with a Blade of Ruin King before you can finish your Edge.
You bring up some good points. I do like the idea of the double BF sword kind of idea, and I won't deny that the trading potential is there. I just think that the Blade of the Ruin King active and the item as a whole just works too well with her kit.
By itself,
and she's going to get it eventually anyways.
By itself, it offers a decent amount of utility, not only because you're stealing movement speed from somebody to continue chasing them or get to them faster to be able to finish them if you are in sort of a split push or a 1v1 situation, but if stuff goes wrong and you can steal move speed from somebody who's gunning towards you, sure, and you have your ult up and you can roll away, plus you have a speed advantage on it, that they don't necessarily know where you're at. Like, how many times have you been in a situation against the enemy Vayne that knew what they were doing, and instead of rolling away in a situation where you thought you had advantage because they were trying to escape, they actually like rolled up towards you to the side or something else, ended up juking you, turned the fight around and kicked your ass for it? Because Blade of the Ruin King makes it way easier for them to position if they can get that like move speed steal to smack you into walls, to move around to more opportune areas, to be able to position. Because like going back to champions that need to position really well, you want to talk about a champion that dances with death in a short range around certain areas between needing to slip in and out of combat. Vayne is like that quintessential AD carry. Like, this isn't the situation where, oh, you can play Caitlyn and sit as far back as humanly possible to take pot shots. Vayne's all about rolling in, hitting stuff, rolling out of like potential danger zones, getting back in there and chasing things once fights start going her way. So like Blade of the Ruin King helps you be able to maneuver in and out of those situations better. But if you can get that early damage advantage with a Blade of the Ruin King, that's the thing. Like, if you can get that BF sword and you'll have a double BF sword and the enemy in bottom lane can't trade with you, you already have a massive advantage because you're playing a champion that shouldn't be able to out-trade with you, and now she can. But if you're in a situation where you're on an even level with somebody and you're not going to be able to necessarily win that 2v2 outright by just being able to pump out more damage, having that Blade of the Ruin King for a bit more utility can help out like crazy in those 3v2 ganks, can do like a bunch of special things specifically for that champion to give her an advantage in those awesome one-on-one or split pushing situations that she's just really, really good at sliding in and out of.
For the most part, we talk a lot in ideals, because we have to talk about this game in ideals. Ideals is going back at your level 6 with 1,550 gold to pick up a BF sword, right? And in real life, in non-ideals, you can make little silly things work, like picking up that BF sword or picking up a cutlass at certain times, because in bottom lane you don't usually get to sit around and farm to 1,500 gold. You got to go back and pick up pickaxe. You got to go back and pick up a couple Dorans early. You got to go back and pick up your berserker shoes. So a lot of the stuff that we're talking about is we're talking ideals, but it's
best case scenario sort of things.
But keep in mind what you can do and why you are getting to that point. And Shira just brought up really good play. If you're really good with Vayne, you can outplay. If you're really good with Vayne, you can also do a lot of damage in lane with that BF sword and whatnot. Like.
I mean, it's your choice. If you're back with 800 and change, then you're like, that's what he's asking. Do I go Edge route and get a pickaxe? Or do I go Bork route and get a Vamp Scepter?
Edge if you're picking up the BF sword first.
Yes, me too.
That's the only time I'd consider it.
Got it.
And it would be, like you were saying, for that ultimate trade advantage.
Right. Well, and it becomes a situation with Vayne, like if they've allowed you, because your early game is relatively weak compared to a lot of other AD carries, if they've allowed you the chance to get all the money for a BF sword before having to back because they haven't out-traded you early, or they haven't punished you for having a shorter range than a lot of other characters, or they haven't punished you for not having poke, like without your role where you're potentially going into bad spots, you can pick up that BF sword because it's probably likely that you can punish them now. So like, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
You're good. No.
Oh.
I defer the point to you.
No. Well, what I was going to say is the flip side of that as well is that when you're going Blade of the Ruin King, Cutlass is only 1,400 gold. So if you get thrown back there and the enemy AD carries at 1,400 gold, they're kind of screwed. Like there's not, they can't, like they want their BF sword, and either they're going to stay in lane too long and be stupid and probably die because they're trying to get that last 150 gold, or they're going to go back and they're going to get like their pickaxe or something like that. But you can actually finish Cutlass with 1,400 gold.
Right.
And then even the pieces of it, like the Vamp Scepter and the Longsword, give you a lot more lane potential that you didn't have before, because you have, like, especially the Vamp Scepter where you pick up that lifesteal that a lot of other people now. Exactly. And right now with, back when Bloodthirster was like the big thing and everyone got it first, yeah, everyone picked up a Vamp Scepter, but now you don't see that very much. So now you have more sustain in lane. So that build path is a little bit easier than everybody else who's going like IE first and things like that. So it just helps you with that like stepping stone where you can actually have a little bit more options and kind of mitigate some of that early game lull that you have where you can't lane as well.
Now keep in mind this is primarily for those auto attack speed champions like Twitch and Vayne. Don't do that. Don't go back and start buying Cutlass on Graves.
No, definitely not. It's just because the item is so specific to her.
Yep, that ends that.
I think we covered it all.
Yeah.
Do we have time to do one more question?
No, we're after the mark.
Well, maybe we started late. That's why I'm asking.
You're the host, buddy.
I screwed up. I was actually looking at you, buddy, because you'll like
Because babby.
Because babby.
Because babby.
Let's this I'm gonna bring this up, but I feel like this is gonna be a 20-minute rant. Let's Danish Donut. He wrote in a 2-part question. We're gonna answer a second part. He says, in an unrelated question, I've heard of noob trap items. What are some items that you are considering noob traps, and is there a reason to ever buy them?
You have any opinions on this, Adam?
No, I have no opinions on noob trap items.
Okay, well, I guess we're done then.
Now that ends that.
I love how Adam. Okay, jokes aside, Adam's gonna say Frozen Mallet.
Frozen Mallet.
That's what's gonna happen, and it's funny because there are a few people within our network, Adam being one of them, who are big fans of Banner of Command. Yet there are other people that are involved that are completely on the other side and consider that item a noob trap. So that's all up for discussion, my friends.
Humorously, I'm all on. I am on board, totally on board for Banner Command, but it's one of those where I can see both sides of the argument, and I can't pick a side. I'm going to straddle the fence the entire time. I can see. I've argued why Banner Command
is great when it's good, and when it doesn't work, there's a terrible item. Why do you do that?
And sometimes I just want to be able to pick up that Aegis Legion and be able to do this shield. Like, I get both sides of the argument now that I've read both sides. I've gone, okay. And I don't want to spend the next 20 minutes talking about both sides, but the TLDR is shield better for team fights, Banner Command better for side pushing if your team isn't taking care of those side waves.
Shouldn't you be identifying that based on the team comps? So you can determine what to buy, whether to buy Banner of Command or not.
That's what and that's the counter argument is how is the team playing, what rank are you, and how are players dealing with those side pushes? Because as you get higher up in the ranks, diamond players or platinum players are generally better about stopping those side pushes than bronze players. Bronze player, you could if you know what you're doing about split pushing, you could split push all day and win the game by yourself. If you're a platinum player in a bronze game split pushing, you win the game yourself. All done. It's no contest,
Pretty much.
But I feel like the definition of a noob trap item is it doesn't work at high levels and crushes bronze players. Like, I feel like that is...
Well, and
that's part of learning. That's part of leveling and grinding your way up. That's the importance of starting out low and going high, because you learn how to counter all these things. You learn eventually how to stop split pushing. You learn how to deal with the Tryndamere that never leaves top lane. You learn all of these things that, if I went back to bronze, I could play Master Yi and win every single game and it wouldn't matter. But that's just part of climbing. And I feel like as soon as you take an item or a strategy and you say it only works in bronze because people don't know better, is an immediate indication that it's not, that it's sort of that noob trap item. I don't know. It's kind of like, and listen, I'm a huge fan of like Magi's in certain situations, but that's another one where people get it and can get away with it, but it's very situational. But somebody sees someone pick it up in like a high level game and they got 20 stacks and they get all this CDR and all this AP and they're like, must buy this every single game.
But I think the split pushing aspect is only one scenario that it'd be useful for. I mean, there's also the great use of putting it to use during sieges. Like if you have Baron, or even if you don't have Baron, and they have a ton of magic wave clear, so you can't siege without it, but you have to force them to come forward in order to attack it, that gives you an opportunity to engage on them.
But is that not an indication that someone on your team isn't fulfilling a role? Like, is that not what your
I mean, if we're talking about solo queue, that's a very real possibility.
I agree with Daze on this point that a lot of this stuff is noob trap items are items. I'm gonna parrot what she said, is that noob trap items are items that you don't understand how to play against. That's not 100% of the definition, because I could argue differently for Frozen Mallet. Essentially, that Frozen Mallet does everything your team is already doing, because somebody on your team is going to have a slow, or you're going to have a slow.
I always thought noob trap as an item that sounds good in theory, but just doesn't work in general.
But I agree with the banner of command thing, because in bronze and silver, the idea is that they don't know how to team fight. So Aegis Legion is not helpful because you're only hitting one or two of your players, or the team fights are extended team fights where somebody dies and somebody walks in. There's no 5-on-5 team fights in bronze and silver, and if there are, they're generally one-sided. So I agree with Daze in that aspect.
And even with what Punch said, where he's like, well, it's solo queue, so someone's not doing what they're supposed to. Okay, again, the higher you get, the less common that's going to be. And I've built it before. I'm not saying I never build the item. Hell, like if I get really ahead and I'm playing someone and I want an Aegis, and hell, I can use some CDR or whatever, and I pick that up. And I just, it's a fun thing to play. It puts a little bit more control in your hands, especially if you're a support. But in general, the problem with that is that then you're not fulfilling a role in your team fights, which is, especially if you're a support, which is who a lot of these players are who are picking up banner, or a jungler who is pretty typically a tankier jungler if they're picking up Aegis, then you're not supporting your team in the way that you otherwise would be. So then if you lose, fine, you're split pushing or you're side pushing, whatever. If you lose that team fight, then you have to look at it and go, well, that might have been my fault for not picking up an item. Like, I feel like it's a very selfish choice in a lot of situations.
Well, in the scenario that Adam brought up before, or I think it was Adam, about the magic wave push or wave clear. Punch? Okay. Ziggs, he's coming back into popularity now. You start seeing the LCS more. You don't need wave clear if you have a Ziggs. He's going to keep the waves back. Someone gets that banner of command, you just lost that ability to stop that push. It's actually a viable strategy that you could use, which takes pressure off so you could work more as a team to get Dragon, for example, or to roll up mid and get a turret, things like that. So I see what you're saying, Daze, but I do, the higher up you get, you were saying that the less the solo queue players aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. They still don't really play as a team, even in the higher levels. They play better macro-wise or micro-wise.
I would
say significantly.
There's another thing, is that I don't think a lot of people are looking to counter banner of command.
Right.
I mean, you need wave clear in your team, which is very real. I mean, that's something you should be thinking about when you're putting a team comp together. But wave clear, most of the time, is just, a hero like Ziggs. You got Ziggs, you're good. No one's really thinking about picking a hero against banner of command. No one's thinking, oh no, we need AD wave clear. Oh, this is not part of the meta right now.
Ziggs, but at the same time, okay, so you're going to get banner of command because you're going to counter Ziggs. Okay, you're telling me that Locket wouldn't be useful when he 5-man ulties your team?
we're getting too much into specifics here, which I didn't want to do.
Situations,
but
yeah,
I mean, we're just looking at Ziggs, but yeah, you're right. It depends on the rest of the team. Like and like we said at the start of the question, how the game is going. Are there more team fights or is there more sieging?
That's how I look at it with Banner Command. Is there more team fights or are there more sieging, split bushing, and skirmishes? Are there skirmishes? And I consider skirmishes where it's long and drawn out, where it's not all 5 or 4 or 5 players banging heads at an objective. It's, little things are happening here and there. And I hate to say it this way, but Days and I kind of butt heads a lot, so it's really not often that we agree, but I actually agree with her point here in that there's,
And like I said, it's not like I never play it, and I don't think that it should be removed from the game or anything. I'm not strictly against it, but for the sake of argument, like, there is a good point to be said for, like, what is your role on the team? And very few times when you're a tanky jungler or support is your role to split push or cause that slow push or anything like that. That's not your job.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
There's just a split side to the conversation, and that was my biggest point.
Yeah, the locket is the better item in the vast majority of games, we could say.
Okay. Speaking of all of these items that we're talking about, I also kind of want to go a different route with this as well. In my opinion, and I'm going to say this because I've seen plenty of people not actually utilize things the way they probably should be used, I would say you can call almost every item that has an activatable that people don't use or use improperly noob trap items.
There's a
there
couple
you go.
that are gold efficient without their actives, and the problem with calling them noob trap items is that they're I feel like noob trap. I feel like noob trap items.
Well, what are we defining as noob? We need to we know what we need to do. We need to come back here and define what noob trap for us means. Because
but I feel like
I would say noob trap are items that you can like make work if people don't know how to like basically they don't have the knowledge to counter their use. So like let's go ZZ Rod and Banner Command. But at the same time, they're also items that you buy because you see other people that buy them, and then you're in a situation where like I'm going to grab Zhonya's and so picks Zed and then just murders your face off with your ultimate, and you're sitting there like, man, I really should have hit my Zhonya's.
Well, I think of noob trap items as items that if you build them without thinking, like especially the higher up, they'll actually impair your ability to climb.
Yeah.
But where as opposed to what you're describing is a mechanics or a knowledge-based issue, and it has nothing to do with the item. That has nothing to do with the item at all. The item is great. The item's actually what you want to do to overcome those noob trap items.
I would say
the
only item in this entire game, and this is I'm biased, it would be Frozen Mallet. I think that's literally the only noob trap item besides Maw Malmortius that might be a noob trap item. What?
Atmos. That's just a bad item.
It's not in the game anymore.
And I agree with the reason. If you buy that, you're serious.
Let me say this. Sorry, Chiro. I have to cut you off.
Go.
It's because those two. For example, the only literal noob trap item that's not helping you in any situation or could help you. I mean, don't get me wrong, Frozen Mallet can help.
Very specific situations
is that there's somebody on your team already fulfilling what that item does. Now, most 95%, 96% of the other items in the game, people aren't fulfilling those, or you need that extra piece of that item to do AoE, or you need to, it affects a team fight with a much larger impact than a single target does. So while we're talking about all these items and how they can be used and what they can do in activatables, you can't get rid of activatables because aren't noob traps. Like, you can't not buy Randuins because you don't know how to use that active. You need to learn to use that active. So instead of let's calling noob trap items, let's call items that are hard to use or hard to properly understand the use of, like Banner Command. Like we've just said, there are specific uses where we think Banner Command is good. There are specific uses where we could think ZZ Rock could be good, but that's like 1% of the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need to, probably in the next podcast, we need to identify all these items and talk about when they are good and why they are good and how you should use them. Does that sound like a good topic for conversation for this episode?
I also want to say as well that Riot's done a good job in getting rid of a lot of the noob trap items over the past, like, 2 seasons anyway. They've really cut out a lot of items that were kind of dead ends, and part of the reason why Frozen Mallet is in that situation now is just the way that they ended up changing Phage. So like That's a major portion of that. The only other two would be Sword of the Occult and potentially Medjai's.
And even Medjai's is better than Sword of the Occult.
That's it. Like Sword of the Occult is in the straight up useless category.
Like if you already know you're getting fed.
If somebody didn't say something about Sword of the Occult in Twitch chat earlier, I forgot that item existed.
Yeah, I don't buy it either. I think that's a good topic discussion for Wednesday. We will pick up every single item that is considered either noob trap or hard to use, including Zizzarat, Wrecker, Frozen Mallet. We will discuss every single one of these
blade
items.
On Howling Abyss.
Sanguine Blade's gone. They removed that.
Hooray!
Yeah, Howling Abyss.
Yeah, no, it's gone. They removed it.
They put Bloodthirster in there.
Okay, good.
Item.
It's about time, because I yelled at somebody the other day for first buying Sanguine Blade on Howling Abyss. He was a friend, though, so it was okay.
It's not there anymore. How'd you yell at them?
It was before the patch.
You said the other day.
Yeah, the other day. Before
It's a long day. Ago.
3 weeks ago.
It was like 2 weeks ago, I think.
Guys, you know what? Thank you. Thank you guys for everybody listening to us. Thank you for sticking through the state of the episode version of the 261 of the Trinity Force podcast. Please go check us out at Patreon. It is trinityforcenetwork.com/Patreon. It is also patreon.com/tforce network.
You can basically spell it backwards and forwards and you'll find it.
Yes.
You'll get there eventually. Just keep plugging stuff in.
We've made it. Jen, she's super excited to bring you guys the Champions Select podcast.
I am. I'm so excited. You guys honestly have no idea. And we have like plans for it, and we're going to let you guys pick some champions. So, yeah, Mitch and Adam and I have been talking about it a lot. So we're really excited.
Mm-hmm. Guys, please go take that's $10 a month to get the Champions Select podcast. We'll bring people on. We're going to try. I think what we're going to try to do is walk through at least one lane each, right? Days. Yeah,
we're going to keep switching and make sure that every lane gets hit. So we did Aurelia. Next is Morgana. We're probably doing Nuno, especially since we have an amazing guest for it, which means that we'll be doing AD carry in mid pretty soon.
Which I can assume would probably be Oriana, and then I don't even know who the AD carry was.
Well, we were
Stop
talking
putting champions in their mouths.
We were talking about getting together like 3 or 4 of each, and then letting the community vote on which one they want to be for their first ADC in mid.
There we go.
Especially since it's the first ones and you guys are, helping support the community. We want to make sure that you guys are actually interested in the content we're giving out. So yeah, it's really exciting. And give us feedback.
Yes.
I really want to know what people think about it.
Tell us what is right, what is wrong.
I'm trying to cover all aspects of the character here. So, if there's something you wanted to know but you didn't hear it, that'd be really good for us to know.
Oh, and the other thing we're going to do, which we didn't do with Aurelia because she's pretty much just top lane, is we're actually going to break down the episode into, we'll cover all of the generals and the overall specifics. And then at the, last half of the show, we'll break it down into, each lane with their runes and their masteries and the playstyles. And then we'll give you timestamps. So if you don't want to listen to the whole 2-hour episode or you can't listen to it all at once, you can jump to the role you're interested in. And you can actually hear about that without having to try to sort through the entire episode.
Yeah, they welcome on time fans. And if you guys were curious how that was going to be delivered, it'll be delivered in your inbox, either by email or by Patreon email. It's going to be a URL every month. You'll have to download it via MP3. I was going to serve a RSS. That'll probably come in the future. New website coming up, actually having a really decent back end. We'll be able to serve it via RSS. Be able to turn it on and off.
You're way too.
That one made me laugh because I can turn it on. I can actually turn it on and off per user, per IP, or per person that grabs it, which is funny. But don't try to go and guess what the URL is, because I guarantee you'll never be able to guess what each of the URLs are, because I already have a plan in place to stop that from happening. So, yeah, we got that.
Yeah, we don't mind making extra content for you and doing all of that, and we're still volunteering for all this stuff, so we don't mind it, but we're trying to support the network as well, so don't try to cheat out everybody else who is supporting the show and try to guess all the URLs, because then I'd feel bad for all the people who are actually helping support the show.
Right, they're paying $10 and somebody else is giving it to 500 of their friends.
Right.
All right, guys, that's episode 261 of the Trinity Force podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for supporting us. We look forward to talking about it Wednesday. That's it. Chiro's going to go play Witcher 3.
Yeah, I took an hour out of my potential Witcher 3 playtime to talk to y'all. So
fuck you, Chiro. We're out of here. Peace.
See you. We love you. Bye.
Bye.